So yeah, so it was alright after that, eh?
Yeah, fuck, I'm cruising. I'm loving life, bro.
Okay, so are we ready to go? Oh, you're ready to go. Oh shit.
No, you can do it. This is how, what do you mean? This is how we usually started off.
No. I thought you had to do something.
Huh?
We good?
No, we're good.
Okay. That's it. Alright, so g'day ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Go Podcast this week. This week we have Alex and Aidan. Sorry, Aidan. I forgot about. Sorry, Aidan. I forgot your name for 5 seconds. Oh, it's been a long day. Anyways, so we have him. Aidan is a producer or executive producer for AVTV, and we've got Alex here, basically TV Saw Love. He's one of these mates. He's one of his homeboys. He came through, and appreciate it too, Alex, for teaming this up, and shout out to Alex. And we have Aidan here. Aidan, so where did it all start with this AVTV? Let's just go straight into it.
Straight in. Alright.
Straight in.
It would have been about a year ago. I was sitting.
Is that mic close enough?
Yeah. It was.
Is that mic close enough?
Are we good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just a pop filter. You just need to bring it down a little bit. There we are.
It was 1-4. The
1-4.
Yeah.
Shout out
that was
1-4.
it. That was the moment where it was like, okay, something's on here. A few years. Basically, the whole idea behind it was. What drew me to them was they had a huge British influence. I was hugely influenced by that stuff, UK, London, growing up, like for years, man. Like this has gone back well over a decade now. Like this is what I kind of grew up on. We all did, the boys, man.
So you guys, you guys grew up with UK rap.
Definitely.
Heavy,
too.
man.
And he
Heavy.
was
I would have found
10 years ago.
Longer. So for me, it would have been. I think I was 13 or 14 when Boy in the Corner by Dizzy Rascal came out. This is like 2005, 2006.
You're going back.
Yeah, like I was a kid, man. I was like 15. That album, kind of, I don't know, there was something about it that grabbed me, spoke to me, and just kind of changed the way I looked at music. Yeah. That was the turning point where I went from like, I'm a fan of music to I want to kind of get involved in this, and it started. I just wanted to kind of jump in, and I was about 15, 16 when I thought, man, that's when I really kind of dived in and just tried to soak up as much as I could. That kind of album opened me up to the kind of the hood sound of London that was around at that time, grime, the first wave, right? And
that underground
no one had any money, man. People were broke. Skepta wasn't a rapper yet. Skepta was a DJ for a crew called Meridian.
Okay.
Yeah, like Deja Vu, 92.3 FM, like pirate radio.
So you're talking way back.
This is way back. Yeah.
So there's some of these artists I've never heard of.
Yeah, man. Well, they were around in a different capacity. Like Skepta was the everybody knows now as the big rapper, right? Like he was the DJ and the producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this crew Meridian, man, with some wild people, Prez T, like Pablo, like that's what
I never heard of.
Yeah, like we grew up on that shit, and in Sydney,
Bowie 3A, like East London.
Yeah. And it was not popular. We would go to like the old grime show here. I remember seeing Wiley headline at the Metro in like 2008. Skepta was Skepta was the hype man that night, and man, it was the Metro, this big ass venue, and there was like 100, 200 people. It was like awkward, man. It was like fucking empty.
Yeah. You know? How many people can fit in that?
1,000, couple thousand.
Okay,
this is where Kendrick Lamar played when he come here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's big.
It's a big joint in George Street in the city, like a massive, like big venue, right?
Yeah.
And fuck man, there was nobody there. And for years and years after that, we would go to stuff. People would come in.
Yeah.
And you'd see the same 80 people at every gig.
Yeah, like on that same topic, one of the best grime artists, I'd say, he backed me on this too.
Yeah.
DEE, he came out.
I don't even know these people. I'm trying to get.
We'll tie it all into how it gets us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When we used to go and see all these underground shows in here, no one ever had heard of this stuff. They were like, who is this guy? What is this? Yeah. And that is so crazy for him to play to a group of 15 Aussies that
we really did it.
Man.
Yeah.
so before the time, I guess. And then, yeah, he just took it on and like progressed in this game. And then, I guess.
Yeah, like I was active over there more than here for a whole
start. Yeah.
That British influence, like it basically, to tie it back into like AVTV.
Yeah.
And now. As a young'un, like I love the British stuff. I like a lot of old school American stuff too. You know, Southern rap, New York rap, heaps of shit from the 90s. But Aussie stuff, there wasn't a lot that I could get into. I think a lot of the reason why I kind of got involved over in London and shit was because when I looked around in terms of what was happening near me locally, there wasn't that much there wasn't anything that was grabbing me like the way the British stuff was.
So I understand. So basically what they were rapping about, their storylines was sort of a similarity to yours. You gravitated that through life itself.
And the sound.
Oh,
the
okay.
vibe, man, like it was really like sonically, musically interesting.
Yeah.
Hyper,
it sounded like it was from outer space, man. Like it didn't sound like anything you got here, but it struck a certain chord. And you know, years went on, and man, like I couldn't, get into that much Australian stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's heaps of people that I look at and I think, man, you're doing your fucking thing. Like respect to people like Cursor and that.
Your Cursor's good, but I rate him. I like him.
Yeah, they do their thing,
Cursor's
man.
OG, but
He's good.
And he built his own lane. I remember seeing that highest man freestyle of him on the Outcast Miss Jackson beat.
Oh, okay.
One of the first things he did. Not one of the first things he did. One of the first things he did that probably popped off, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and going, fuck yeah. You know? But in terms of like the people that come out of that world, there wasn't much that was like hitting me the way the British stuff was. Man.
Okay.
I lived over there for some time, was doing music stuff, and I come back and a couple of years passed and I wasn't active, man. I was out of the game for like 2 years and I wasn't doing any music stuff, working in an office. I kind of miss it. You know, it's like, man, I need an outlet.
Yeah.
You're still tying in with over there too, eh? Like working here, trying to work back there. And
So you were doing, so basically you're into the British music, so you sort of gravitated that in a young age.
London stuff.
And then, so what happened after that? So you basically, you were talking about a 9 to 5 job, or?
Yeah, so I'm skipping ahead of me. I probably come. I come back, so I'm thinking how I'll put this all together. So
no, that's all right.
I'll tie it in with where we are today, and then I'll go into a verse.
Yeah, it's okay.
I couldn't listen to so much of that basically, I was missing it. I was looking around, there wasn't that much stuff that I thought, I can really get into this.
Yeah.
Nothing and like then I heard Shakes and Shibs 1-4. Yeah, I heard 1-4 Shakes and Shibs.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, holy crap, like, yeah, fuck man, like these boys, they got something, you know, and they were distinctly influenced by London. I grew up on grime, right?
Yeah.
But the people, like grime has come and gone more or less. In terms of being a hood started music, grime left the hood. It's not what it was.
Yeah.
Drill, it became drill.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a different genre.
Yeah,
completely different. Yeah.
But it's the modern incarnation of what grime was in the early 2000s, right? And it was just the progression, and I could see that the 1-4 boys and people around that crew like had been influenced by the British stuff that I've been into for so many fucking years. Man.
Yeah.
And I looked and I thought, finally, this is something here next to me that I can really, really get involved in and really kind of help and that I really fucking love, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, fuck, I gotta just jump in.
Yeah.
And in the UK, they have a lot of stuff like the whole AVTV thing. It's not a unique idea. Yeah, absolutely not. There's a big influence on us. It was like Link Up TV, GRTV, SVTV, even the Birmingham channel was like fucking P110.
Yeah, bro, I don't even know any of these channels.
Yeah,
Have you heard of these channels?
Did you ever hear about that? The guy that made the the Man's Not Hot. Man's Not Hot. That funny guy.
Michael Dapper.
Yeah, like the BBC radio. I like how
Fire in
that.
the booth.
Oh, okay, so stuff like that. So sort of the underground stuff.
Fucking Tim Westwood, man. Like,
The stuff was just filmed on a camera in the back alley.
Okay. Yeah.
Hood shit, bro.
Yeah.
We love that. And practice hours and risky roads. And like, we were into it before YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was no YouTube then.
Mm.
Yeah, it was pirate radio genre, and they were broadcasted on shout out Rinse FM, man. This UK
Shout out Rinse FM, mate.
legendary UK British station. I ended up being the first Aussie to fucking DJ on there, man. I used to come home from school, because of the time difference, 4 o'clock in the afternoon over here, it'd be like really, really late at night over there, and there's just with these cunts in this dirty studio on top of a tower block fighting over a microphone, rah, going in. And you could send a message on MSN Messenger, bro. And they would shout,
They'll go back.
they would shout you out,
back.
man. They would shout you out. And there's like, I still got old sets of, from me, 06, 07. And they'll shout out Aidan in Sydney, from back then, man. And I used to do that every day. And like the boys out here stumbled on the British stuff that, like, man, I've been all over for so long. And it's like, man, like, I can really, this is something I can enjoy. And so I looked at the British channels, and it's like, man, well, we got this talent here, but talent isn't, if you want to make like a scene, a world, and kind of develop an ecosystem in which many people can kind of thrive and eat off this thing and do something professionally. You don't just need the musicians, like they are the most important thing. Without them there's nothing, but you need the infrastructure behind it, right? And
when you mean by infrastructure, could you be able to explain it to people who want to mean by infrastructure?
Platforms, record labels, managers, business development managers, promoters, all the
team.
Yes, and just all the things that happen behind the scenes to bring the music to life. And I thought, man, I could have a crack at doing here what people like Posty from GRM Daily and Rashid from Income TV had done over there. I lived in England. So you mentioned Bowie 3 before, right?
Bowie 3.
Bowie 3 is a part of East London where grime originated. So this is where Wiley came from. This is where Dizzy Rascal came from.
Dizzy Rascal, I heard of Dizzy Rascal.
Big crew called Roll Deep that were like the innovators of that stuff, and Rough Squad, another crew, like people that really kind of paved the way, man. And I fucking moved to London. And at the start, I was living in this like trendy, nice area like Shoreditch, which was like Surrey Hills, like Brick Lane.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like hipster type area.
Bit like Newtown.
Kind of, yes. Yeah, reasonable.
Where they drink the coffees like that.
Yeah, reasonable.
Organic bar.
That's a reasonable comparison. Yes. But
I'm only joking, people. No, I'm only joking.
Yeah, man. And it was just fucking expensive. So I thought, fuck this. The girl that I was living with, this was one of the most surreal things that has happened to me. The girl that I was living with was looking around on Gumtree and that for places for us to rent, and she found this place that was like just one of those tower block estates, man, that are dotted all over
England.
London, East London. She found, because like neither of us had any money. Like I was like DJing for cash and doing this stuff. I wasn't like technically not employed like that. So we had to kind of find a bit of a off the books way to find a home. And that's how we ended up in a big blog, right? And the guy had advertised the real estate. Well, the dude that was like subletting his place had advertised it as being in Hackney Wick, which is this like really trendy kind of gentrified Newtown type area. And it just had this name as this like hipster type place, right? Whereas Bow was a bit more like the hood, And I didn't know East London that well. I'd like come a bit further out than where I'd been previously. And I checked out the place, thought, it's alright. It looked like Soviet Russia, like cold ass concrete grey, man.
I like that, but I like that look, the concrete look.
Yeah, call it the concrete.
It was what it was,
jungle.
man.
Concrete jungle.
Fucking oath.
New York City, eh?
Fucking oath, man. And that's fully what it was. But I thought it was in Hackney Wick, right? I'd moved into this joint. It was my first night in there. And I'm listening to an old Rinse FM pirate radio set, Pay As You Go Cartel, which is the crew that came before Roll Deep Wiley's first crew back in the day. And he's got a lyric in it where he says, I'm like hanging out the window, smoking a cigarette, looking at this there's 3 tower blocks on the estate.
Yeah.
2 that were like a kind of beige colour, one pink one, and the pink one is right outside my window, 20 metres away, and like I'm looking right at it, and I'm thinking I'm in Hackney Wick, and then I'm listening to this set, and Wiley has a lyric that says, I used to draw enough gal to the pink block, tower block hotshot, like bringing girls back to the pink tower block, right?
Yeah.
And I realised, holy shit, like that's it. I'm looking at it, like it's right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I got out the Google. I wasn't in Hackney Wick. I was in Bow. The guy, in an effort to make his apartment seem like it was in this like trendy fucking area, told us it was in this different place, which was next door. Turned out I was actually in Bow, which was the birthplace of grime. I didn't know. I kind of just ended up in the exact fucking tower block building estate.
Always rapping about.
Yeah. Like what? I don't know what the chance of that was, man.
What's the chance of that happening?
Yeah.
And especially you being in that music. Like, it's
exactly. So I kind of, holy shit, I'm there. Like I was right. If you know old school grime, Ramen Road. Like I used to walk past where Rhythm Division used to be every day. Like the first record. Like,
and what time?
Record store that used to sell that shit.
What time was this? Like what?
2013.
Okay.
Beginning of 2013. It was a while ago. And I was there for a year. And it was cool fun, man. I loved it. And it was good. I loved it. But like my visa ran out. I had to come back.
You had to come back.
Yeah, and bro, I learned so much over there. So over there, I was kind of what I used to do, like most of the music stuff, DJing, not making that much money, but like getting by.
But it's experiences.
Yeah,
like stuff you can't, money can't buy.
100%.
That's what made you who you are today.
Yeah, man. Like just chance encounters on the street with people.
And,
I remember being in Nike Town in Oxford Circus, and I looked up and there's like Slew Down Crew, like Chronic Footsie, there's people that we used to listen to 15, 16. Man.
Sound very familiar.
Grime people would know like old school people.
Yeah.
There's like someone's gonna watch this podcast and go, oh yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, so
You should look up these people too.
I actually will. I actually will.
Goons.
So that's sort of influenced you to sort of like actually having 1-4 coming out with the sort of music they have.
Yeah.
It sort of reminded you of like that's what I was searching for in Australia. Now that's in my backyard.
100%.
That's where you sort of got attached to AVTV.
Yeah, how can I can't let this happen all around me and
not be part of it in that sense.
Because I love it so much.
Yeah, and so basically 1-4 as an example.
Yeah.
So having them like rapping about or basically their music based on their lives and stuff.
Yeah.
That sort of connects grime music or what it's all about. Where it's the underground, real life stories, but it's not mainstream. If that
The
makes sense.
spirit of it.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
And we've so obviously like getting into that music. What kind? So having experiences at England. Did you originally go there for working with music, or did you go there as a DJ? What were you at England for originally?
I thought fuck I'd gone there.
Oh, that's it. So
I
that just
fuck it. I love London. It had been such a big influence on me.
so music sort of made that decision, or was it other things?
It was 90% music, 10% soccer. Man, I love football.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big Arsenal fan. I fucking love the shit. Like,
Shout out Arsenal Club on there too. Thierry Henry days. That was what I said. Yeah,
he's the one.
He's the man.
He's
bro.
the reason.
Thierry
Shout out
Henry,
Thierry
shout out.
Henry, man. Fucking hell.
He's the man.
That's-
One day on the podcast, eh? One day.
Yeah, one day. I'm coming down, man. But yeah, fuck, man. Like, I thought, fuck it, let's go, let's see what happens. And yeah, I went and, like, best decision I ever made. Man.
Yeah.
So good over there. I learned a lot. And the crazy thing was, man, like over there I got to DJ, spent a bit of time in like Berlin, in Germany as well.
Hey,
yeah.
shout out Germany.
Yeah, shout out Germany, shout out Berlin, man. He's got German.
Oh, yeah? That's where your eyes from, eh?
Bit of the way back. But I went there and I learned so much through traveling and just meeting different kinds of people, and because it's bigger over there, you kind of see like, I don't know, it felt like the capital of the world. You know?
Yeah, England.
London specifically. Like
London is
capital
of the world.
Yeah, London is its own world. Fuck the rest of I shouldn't say that. But like
Sorry,
London is almost a world in and of itself. The rest of the UK is a bit different to that. It's like comparing New York to the rest of America. If you've been like
Have you been in New York?
Yeah.
Man, you've been all over. What
Yeah,
countries
I've
haven't you been to?
I've been lucky, and that's something I would encourage like anyone to do if you get the chance.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but if you get the chance to you know, save a bit of money and just get the fuck out of here and see something different. Like for young people, man, that's one of the best things you can ever do. You don't have to go to London or New York or somewhere kind of expensive, man. Go to, you know,
I just got back from Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, how's that?
It's a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
Beautiful country. Like,
Is it expensive or is it not about that? It's more about like.
No, it wasn't expensive. One of my best friends was born there in Johannesburg, and like that place is crazy. The violence and stuff over there.
No way.
Yeah, it's seriously.
Is it black or white, or is it just not that type of violence?
It's
more like
it's sort of
civil.
Yeah, it's definitely is racist, like for sure. But it's, there's a group of people called like the Cape Coloured and the coloured sort of generation, which is a mix of like the black and the whites.
Yeah.
And they don't get anything. So, you know, they're all like left in these shanty towns, and like across the road it's like these nice big apartments.
Like literally like they're...
this is dead set slums, and across the road is like a big mall and like big gated fences and like
No
you can't go in
way.
there. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like it's so...
So do you have any coloured people? If you, the right word, if I'm using it right, hopefully I am. But do you have certain colours? Is it just the whites in there, or do you have coloured people in there too?
No, it's just coloured.
Oh,
there's no
segregation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just coloured black.
So that's one thing people can,
But it's also that I've met some of the most beautiful people I've ever met, and I went into got top into Africa too. So I went to like Botswana, Namibia, and all that too.
Watch any rugby up there?
Yeah, we were there when South Africa won the World Cup
Oh,
too. So,
right, that would have been an
that
experience.
was huge as well. So shout out to my friend Ryan.
Yeah, shout out Ryan
over there and all that.
Yeah, so is he still here?
Yeah, his family sort of escaped over there, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's too violent.
Is he like white or is he dark?
Yeah, he's white.
Oh, he's white. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that white people have
Background
to.
sort of thing.
I thought they got it sort of good there. If that makes
Well,
sense.
they do, yeah, but there's always violence, you know. Like there's always carjackings, robberies. Like when I was over there, this place I was staying at, which was his auntie's place. Like there was a bloke stealing cars out in front of the house, and there's people getting robbed all the time, and like.
I guess it goes back to what you were saying, Aidan. Like when you're saying that, like you encourage people to go travel to see the world, but you educate yourself and you learn. And you learn, that's how they do. Oh, that's what. And certain things we think that's what's not normal over there is quite normal. So I guess that's how you can see a different perspective in life.
It brings you back to earth. You know,
okay.
Because like that's head's this big, and then you go there, you're like, whoa, like,
oh shit, this is how it really works.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So what else did you? So what else sort of influenced that sort of AVTV vibe? If they, so we're going back to what?
Yeah, it was heavily the UK, and the fact that like finally now there was something happening here that I thought, man. With everything that existed previously, there was only like parts of it that I liked. Whereas you know, once this kind of new wave kicked off, it was like, oh man, I'm all over this. Like, and there's so much diversity amongst the sound. When you really, I think on the surface level, it seems like a lot of people may be like trying to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
But if you really dig in, which I tend to do, and you know, go hunting for people, you find some guy with 600 fucking plays on SoundCloud. But shit is sick. Like, well,
and that's what you were doing. I think I read about that. So
like there was a moment, and I think I told the boys this story. I thought, fuck it, I'll do some like link up TV type thing. I just need the right artist, and I didn't even have a name for the channel yet.
Yeah.
I just had an idea of kind of what I wanted it to do.
Remember you asking me, hey,
asking for names. I'm terrible at naming stuff. I don't even like AVTV.
You did good, but
what's AVTV stand for?
Nothing. It just sounds.
Are you serious? I was about to say, it actually sounds cool.
I was fooled. I thought it was Area Vision.
Area Vision. AVTV. So there's no meaning behind it whatsoever. That's mad.
It was just kind of sharp and catchy.
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking of SBTV. Something like that always stuck in my head. I wanted something quick and something that was kind of generic. Like
AVTV.
If something that could become some kind of polished, not quite a hood, like if I want to make this some kind of multimedia platform years down the track where I do things about sport and you know, whatever, it's a name that can, you know, it's not restricted.
For all genres,
it's not restricted to some kind of like just
not ghetto music or something like
that. Even though that's what I love. But man, I just thought, I need the right artist.
Yeah.
And I need a few to kick it off. I'll do a bunch and
Yeah.
I'll do a big batch in one go and see how we go.
Who was your first?
The first one I found that made me think, all right, it's time to go now. The talent is here is CJ. Yeah, Section 60. So CJ and Twister.
Yeah.
Shout out Section 60, man.
Shout out Section 60.
Shout out
Hey?
Section 60.
That freestyle song,
yeah,
man.
man, we made history that day, man. Man, you knew.
Oh, bro.
I knew there was something in me.
Bro, when I heard that,
as well.
I didn't know how to share on Instagram. I didn't know how to do that. So now I know how to do it, obviously. But I didn't know how to. When I heard that, I was like, sections. I didn't even know who. You know what I'm saying? I won't say it, but I didn't even know someone I knew was involved with that. Because you know what I mean. And I was like, bro, this is heavy. I go, this is heavy, but it's not. It was drill, obviously. It was bit, it bit into it, but it was friggin'. It was the execution. I was just like, bro. I was like, great. I was doing this straight away when I heard it. I was doing it. I was like, man, this, and it was fat because of the lines they were using. It was fat from that. And then so I'm going around telling everyone, who are these guys? Who are these guys? And blah blah. Yeah. Little did I know. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then little did I know. Then I found out. Yeah. And then I'm gonna get my other brother. told me, don't you know who that is? I was like, bro. And he was like, I'll say, he's the man, bro. Okay, he's the future. And then, because that's who it is. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, bro, he's the man. I was like, that's my guy. Shout out Section 60.
Shout out Twister, man.
Yeah, bro. They're good, man. They're young. So what are they?
So what happened? I was scrolling through my phone. I think I was on the toilet or something.
Yeah. As we all are, we're scrolling.
Everyone's scrolling. Killing time, bro. And fuck, I seen this clip, and it was CG and it was Twister, just an Instagram story, black screen. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
It was just a pure audio clip, and I remember it stopped me. I just went, oh fuck. Like this is it. Like they were two clips that would have been about 13 seconds each. Man, like they were really short, rough. I think they were done in the backyard, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like, but
Mount Druitt.
Yeah, but
shout out Mount Druitt.
Yeah, man. Shout out Mount Druitt. Shout out the whole 27. Man.
Yeah.
But man, shit. Like it was just so obvious to me that they had it. I think anybody who saw that clip at that time could notice that. Yeah, they really had something. So I thought, well, there's one.
Yeah.
Let me just get a few more in order, and I'll do 5 or 6 and see what happens. So yeah, they were the first people I hit up, but we filmed 2 on that first day. The other one was Sky High, man. Shout out Sky High.
Sky High.
Yeah.
That's on your page, isn't it?
Yeah. So she was the second one to come out, but she was the first one that we filmed.
She's not drilling, but she's
No, she's from back in the fucking day, man.
Proper like.
Yeah.
But she's good. Oh, I remember that. I was like, man, she's alright.
This is something I want to delve into a little bit.
Yeah.
I said before that's like back in the day in Sydney, there wasn't a whole lot that I felt was like something that I could get into or that was representing people that were like the people around me to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Or, spoke how we spoke and dressed how we dressed.
Like, example, lad.
Yeah.
TNs
and shit.
Just the lingo and
the one crew that was around back in the day that made a bit of noise, fucking 10 years ago now, more, like 12 years ago maybe, it was Sydney Searchers. I don't know.
Sydney Searchers.
Right?
I never heard of. Is that guy we were talking about? What's his name?
Enter, man, Schemo, Sky High.
Yeah.
They used to, they recorded their first song in East Lakes, which is just around the corner from where I live now. They were like kind of from around the way, and Sky lived in near Lexington, Maroubra, where we used to hang for years. Before she moved to Glebe. Shout out Lexa, man.
She's got a bit of talent.
I got her on because she was the pioneer back in the day. When she was probably 16, 17. This is like LimeWire days.
Yeah.
This is like YouTube is just.
Yeah.
It's
so
starting to.
So this is before YouTube.
It's just. This is MySpace. This is MySpace era. This is Bebo era.
Bebo. Shout out Bebo.
This is those times. They were the ones flying the flag for that shit. They really pioneered what we see today as like the Sydney kind of culture.
Yeah.
I don't know how you describe it in a couple of words, but you know what I mean.
Well, what you're saying.
The slang, the urchin, this and that.
The look.
Yeah, they were the originators, man.
Yeah.
Money, like, yeah. The reason why I recorded her first is because I wanted to kind of bring it full circle. I wanted Section 60 Those Boys and that to kind of pick up where people like Sky and Enter and Schemo, Sydney Searchers had left off, right? Even though the younger boys not really aware of, probably to a certain extent, not aware of
what you're talking about now.
Yeah, what was around back in the day. They are kind of a modern incarnation of that. So it was a way of kind of joining the dots and coming full circle and just paying tribute to the people who really, really laid it down, man.
Yeah.
Now everybody talks like that, everybody dresses like that. It is what it is, right? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, not so much back then. Those guys used to cop a lot of hate, man, and then now everybody speaks that way.
It's just more like it's more the relaxed sort of talk. It's more the, I wouldn't say hood, but it's just more street talk, if that makes sense. It wasn't accepted in back then, but now it's a bit more.
Greasy. I
used
mean,
to call it gutter rap, eh?
Yeah,
Like,
gutter
gutter
rap.
rap.
Yeah. They were just talking about doing ram raids and shit. Ram raids on roads.
But it's
tagging.
Smashing trains, man.
But like you were saying, you were talking about the modern day drill is sort of that what you're talking about there. So it's just a modern version. So you starting with that with a chick, and then you're moving into 1/4. It's sort of like the new wave. So where they took off and they left. 1/4 taking
join the dots.
Yeah,
join the dots. Man.
So that's why you sort of had her, and then you go on. That's the old days.
It's a bit of a passing of the torch in some respects.
But would you say that style can ever come back? If that makes sense.
People are still holding it down.
But drilling is just another level.
It is, man. But
I'll gravitate to
Enter is really doing his thing. Yeah, like Enter is still sick, man. He put something out the other day. Shout out Enter, man.
Yeah. Was that another producing?
Enter is a rapper. He was in Sydney Searchers at Crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was locked up with Semi, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they know one another. Yeah, he's he'd been doing it well over 10 years, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed that too with those old school styles. It wouldn't really work these days, if that makes sense, because the beats have changed, but the words, the stories are still the same. If you read
the subject matter is similar or very, very similar, but the sound
sounds awesome now.
Yeah,
it does.
The production levels have gone up, man. Like people are really, from a sonic standpoint, things are quite clean and professional now.
Yeah.
As much as I love the OG Sydney Searchers like MySpace shit, you could really tell it was recorded in a cupboard.
One of those MP3.
Fucking oath, man, and then shit around it like LimeWire, like 64 kilobytes a second.
Go back. Like I was just like grey. I was just almost there, listening to that stuff. But like living out here, we sort of weren't exposed, I guess, as much, and we're more outside, if that makes sense. So what we used to listen to was obviously mainstream, your mainstream stuff, but Tupac, your Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, all that stuff.
So did we too, that's a huge thing for us.
And we also had the singers and the rappers back in our day doing their thing, but obviously because of YouTube now, we can sort of give it, it's a broader spectrum now, so it's more easy to access. People can hear different people's style. And what that tells me, if anything, all the storylines and all the sounds we had, if we had YouTube back then, it would be just as deep too, the style of rapping, because everyone can gravitate to that some way or another.
Timing is everything, eh?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then to be honest, like what they now, like to stay mainstream, you sort of have to change it up too. That's still that rule's still there, but
but I think we're coming towards, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by accident. We will come to a time where I think where we are now, you have to, for a lack of a better word, if you come from this kind of vibe, this kind of background, if you want to really get to like #1 commercial success, daytime radio, all of that, you got to a certain extent water down what you say, blah 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 blah. I think the time will come where that won't be the case anymore. We might be a few years away, but I think we are inching closer toward a time in which, come 5 years, 10 years, we can have the pure unadulterated hood shit.
Yeah. Well, sort of got to the table.
Bro, doing numbers, really, really. See, this is the thing, right? This is a big reason why I started AVTV. When I lived in London, I lived in the hood music in London for the last 30 fucking years, from the 80s, man, from the jungle and acid house days through to, you know, garage and grime and whatever. They have this like rich history, man, where there's been like a constant stream of like really innovative and interesting shit come from the hood. The time I was there was the worst time in the last 30 years for all of that, right?
Yeah, why is that?
It was a dead time. You walk down Brick Lane, the street I mentioned earlier. Typically, you know, in garage days, you would only hear like, or jungle days, like, you would only hear British stuff typically in those clubs, in those areas, people that were really proud of their own thing and had their own scene and it was thriving. When I went there, man, there was nothing. British hood music was kind of dead in the water. Grime was dead. It's interesting. You would walk down Brick Lane or you would walk through Upper Main Road in the hood, right? Bethnal Green Road or something, East London. The music coming out of the cars, the sound systems in the cars, or the music that the kids are like playing on the back of the bus, on one of them old Sony, you know, like the Sony Ericsson Walkman phones and shit. Yeah, like the music people are playing is, it was Chief Keef, and it was King Louis, and it was Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka, and it was either Atlanta. It was either Atlanta shit, or it was like the early Chicago drill shit. There was no UK drill. Then it didn't exist then, but all the kids on the bars were playing the fucking American drill, and you could see like this was the turning point. Those kids on the back of the bus grew into the drill rappers,
which is one for example what they're doing now.
Right. And it was like, oh fuck, what was the point that I was making? Oh yeah, how it was the deadest time, bro. Like, what it feels like before I left, you could see like it was dead in the water, right? But after I left, it fucking exploded. You had Skepta and Stormzy and all these people. Gigs, shout Gigs, all these people that just kind
shout Stormzy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just went through and blew up massive and took it global, took the UK global. What it feels like here is similar to what it felt like in London not long before it all popped off.
Okay. Like are we still in that early stages?
Yeah, we're definitely still in the early stages.
You wouldn't say that 1-4 has shot it to mainstream?
They have, but back then it was like Gigs had popped off and it was only Gigs. And Gigs was flying the flag one out. Same way you have one or two artists, you probably had Gigs and Rex 32. Same way you got like 1-4 and Hefts now and a couple other people, Young and Lips, whatever, in the background kind of, you know, pushing things forward. But it wasn't this full thriving fucking thing that you see today. We have the building blocks now for something to be big and thriving, but we're not there yet. It seems like if people kind of keep working hard in the background and in the studio busting their ass and making stuff, that Sydney and Australia in general can kind of have a moment where you know, people know us not just in Australia but around the world. It's started to happen, and I think the best is yet to come. So
in saying that, so you're talking about it's a team sort of building that sort of vibe coming back up. So we've obviously with the artists, would you say we've got the artists for it? We just need more producers, more management, more marketing guys in the background to sort of pull their weight, and then we're pushing it forward. Because having 1-4, let's just say for an example, would you say the talent's there? They just need the background sort of support, like having the right marketing team, the right producers, and that's what you're talking about. If they lift their game up
they're a good example. Like they got good people around them. And
I'm happy for that. It's good. It's good to see that, really.
But every artist needs good people around them, and that's the point we've got to get to, I reckon. Like not everyone can be the rapper or the producer.
I'd rather not be the rapper. I'd rather be guy behind scenes. I like the background scene.
I like the certain kind of anonymity of it. Like, I wouldn't want to be one of those people where, man, I'm walking down the street. I'm gonna get, bread and milk from the corner shop, man.
And no one knows you.
Like, let me move around. That's why I've done the whole AVTV kind of anonymous, man.
So with AVTV, so you're a producer. So what's your role in the music industry, if that makes sense?
Basically, I put it all together. I will book the studio. I'll find the artist. I'll hire the engineer. I'll hire the camera crew. The mix engineer, mastering, blah blah blah.
Oh, so you do everything.
Everything.
So did you come up with the freestyle beat for Section 60?
No, so I do everything that doesn't involve actually making music. I do everything else. Yeah, that's my job. That's
So
probably
who came up? I'm about to say, whoever came up that beach, shout out
the
to whoever
boys
came-
brought it with them.
Oh man,
the boys
shout out
brought
to the
it with
boys,
them.
man.
And
That's
yeah.
some dope shit.
It's a really good beat.
That's
and
dope.
And the
Like,
kid is
really.
like 16.
16.
Yeah, the kid was like 16.
16, who made that
Yeah.
beat?
He was a
Yeah.
kid, man.
Bro, it just shows what you're talking about, kids on the bus, where
Yeah.
you're saying that 16-year-old, 10 years from now, you'll be amazed if he still sticks with it.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed what he comes up at
I got a
26
lot of,
years old.
I got a
If he's really getting things from me, I'm 30, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm listening to this stuff. So if he,
Yeah.
a 16-year-old making a beat where an older
100%.
generation's
Yeah.
accepting it,
Yeah,
imagine what he's got to do in 10 years from now if he sticks with it.
100%.
And that's what you're talking about, the background scene, guys.
Yeah.
If everyone's grinding, like not just
Yeah.
the artists, but everyone's grinding,
Yeah,
this will push it to media, which
Yeah.
will probably force that you can have where you don't need that like water things down because that team
yeah,
is pushing it so big.
precisely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So if everyone's grinding,
Yes.
you got no choice besides to accept it because
Yeah.
everyone's accepted in society.
Yeah.
It's just the mainstream. And if they don't, those people just make their own record deals. They'll
Yeah.
make their own thing and then
100%.
they'll just put it on
Find a
TV
way.
and put it on
Yeah.
YouTube.
No,
So
They'll find a way.
if they're not going to adapt, I guess you
Yeah.
get feel left behind.
There's what I would like to see is basically like 15 years ago in England, if you went to a British school and you asked the kid who's your favourite rapper, they're gonna say, I don't know,
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, DMX.
No, Dr. Dre.
You know,
Shout out Dr.
you know,
Dre.
I'm 50 Cent American people.
Yeah.
You go to a British school now and you say who's your
Stormzy.
favourite rapper? Stormzy, J Hus.
But that's good.
You know,
That's
young
good.
ads. That's what I want to see here.
Yeah, well, I think you've got that here.
Yeah, we're starting. It's
Yeah.
definitely fucking starting.
No, because like, it was funny because
Yeah.
my little niece was like my little niece, like she's from like this area. They didn't even grow up
Yeah.
in this area.
Yeah.
She was talking about what's the guy this district? What's the 21 district? And then you got 1-4, but we won 4. Like we won the. I'm like, and this is like a private school, young kid in primary school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talking about
It's
1-4, like
It's happening, man.
That brings it back. It's just like you know how 1-4 is making all this music just for like just our country,
Yeah.
just giving us an identity in this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because every single country
yeah,
has rappers coming out now,
Yeah.
and they all represent something in that
That's
own
true.
country.
Yeah.
Well, I was told because so I had it like one of my cousins who was an artist back in the day. This sort of relates to what you're talking about. He was way before. So when you're talking about the 90s, maybe early 2000s,
Yeah.
like early 90s. So he was his own artist and stuff like that. But he was telling me he had a meeting with Sony Music. And he actually had a meeting, and then he sat with the executives, and they were talking about discussing about like what are you going to bring to the table, basically for the company.
Yeah.
And he said that so what's your music about? And he goes, it's about my culture, it's about my identity, basically, you know what we're talking about now. And he said that how's that going to make money for the company? And he goes, well, I'm just telling the story because America's telling their story.
Yeah.
And then he goes, but what he was getting the vibe from him, the reason why they didn't sign it because he felt back then the executive said that didn't say it, but he was telling me saying that they didn't think that it would blow up here.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, you got the Latinos having the bouncing cars and the film clips,
Yeah,
but then people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Then you got Tupac talking about black rights and stuff like that, but people
Yeah.
can relate to that
Yeah.
and about his story. So he was trying to do the same thing, but just the Aussie version.
Yeah.
But he said that he didn't. The executives didn't feel like that was maybe the time, or maybe you won't get that backing here the way they got it back there.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't
Yeah.
go. But then if you look now, if you actually look now, it's happening.
It's
So
happening, man.
I think that's the sad part about it is that the people who, like you were talking about back in the day,
Yeah.
they missed out on these. They missed out not because their talent wasn't there. It's because of the opportunity wasn't there, the timing wasn't
Like
there.
what you said before about timing, man.
The timing wasn't ready
right.
for it.
Yeah.
Like we were still not even YouTube. Like you know what we're
100%.
doing MSN messaging.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that it all
Yeah.
circles around.
It's
I guess.
unfortunate, like
It is, because
heaps
you
of
have so
artists
much
that are
talent
just
back.
being pushed under the rug. Like,
Yeah.
But it's
you
also
say
good
time
too.
to shine.
It's also good too to see it coming along and people accepting it more. Because imagine if we were talking about dipping and talking about shakes and
Yeah.
shits back then.
Yeah.
Especially when it was a bit more different. And in
Yeah.
Australia, like, especially
Yeah.
coming from Mount Druitt, you weren't really accepted in the
Yeah.
normal society, whatever it's called.
Mm.
But now coming out being accepted, and it's like you said, it's those kids in the bus now coming through. So those 16-year-olds making beats.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
it.
it's all that.
Yeah.
Like my little nieces who are in primary school, coming up that road, they got to be more
Yeah.
accepted. So
Yeah.
if they get those roles in this music industry, like you were saying,
Yeah.
they've got no choice besides just get the raw talent rather than water down things because
Yeah.
those guys will be old and they'll be gone,
100%.
and the new wave's coming through. So
The other really kind of
Like way
crucial
out.
thing,
100%, yeah.
the thing that shows that we are really on a path to kind of forging something of our own was the accent shift.
Oh, bro, I love the Australian rap.
Yeah.
Like that. But the Aussie rappers were always having that.
Always,
if you
yeah.
think about it,
Yeah.
all the Aussies kept that. They never really changed it.
They
So,
did.
but then,
the Islander boys, like, man, even back like in our area, man,
yeah,
a lot of the Islander guys, like, and this was the same thing that happened in England, bro. There was a crew called SAS in like the late 90s, early 2000s, man. Like,
Yeah.
Black British dudes, I think that was Jamaican.
they were trying to do the rap, American accent.
American accent, they got signed to Rockefeller or someone, man.
No way.
They or Def Jam. Yeah, and they had 1 or 2 big singles and then didn't last,
See you later.
didn't last very long, right? Because
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Organic, like it wasn't you, like it wasn't you
Yes.
telling. But I like probably UK rapping too. They're saying I can't understand that, so I have to listen to it 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
to get what their story because the accent's different. But I guess that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you do get it, you're like,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And that's what.
That was us when we were like 15 years
You're
old.
almost-
Yeah, well, you guys doing it at 15. I'm doing it at
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
now we
You
know
had
it's
to learn
slang and all that.
You had to learn it. Now we're at the point where we could go to Jamaica and talk patois, you know, because it's been so long. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I used to live in East London and there'd be the old, like, Jamaican uncle talking to me in, like,
Yeah.
straight Jamaican patois. I'm talking back in my Maroubra, like, Aussie accent, man.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
both understand each other perfect.
Yeah, that's mad.
That's good.
So what would you say now? So with ATV, so where are you trying to take it now? So where are you guys sitting at the moment?
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby steps.
Trying to sign more artists.
Yeah, like we don't tend to do kind of any kind of long-term deals with anyone.
Yeah.
If you come and do something with me, we make an agreement for whatever we do on that day.
Yeah.
Like I do one song at a time, one project at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better that way because you get the time with the main guy.
You do,
You know what I mean?
and you don't. The thing with fucking rappers, man, is that you can't play too much ahead. It's fucking pointless.
Yeah.
You try planning to do something with a rapper in 6 months, bro. You know how much can happen between now and then.
Yeah. Someone else comes in the picture.
Or
Oh,
go
you're gonna
for-
chuck this guy on the verse.
People get locked up,
I was
bro.
gonna
Shit
say,
happens,
it's gonna
man,
jump in.
and like fuck. People get. It's real out here, man.
Yeah.
People are out here, man.
Yeah.
They're really, really, you know, people are active and trying to, do some forward planning with people that are, you know, risking it day to day.
So especially if you grow up with people who don't really do day-to-day planning. They didn't grow up in that sort of world, so they're just sort of day-by-day people. And if you get them trying to plan things out at an older age, they're like, oh, bro, we don't do that. We're not used to that. You know, it's just a culture thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I guess what you,
man.
yeah.
Something I had to learn. I wasn't the most kind of organised person at all. Like it was
Weren't
something. No, it was something I had to teach myself, man.
Yeah, growing up in Maroubra, I thought you guys were all organised.
People got the wrong idea.
I know a rapper out
This
in
guy.
Maroubra.
Kobe D, there's a few, man. Shout out Kobe.
His name is Savage.
I'm not sure. I'll have a look though, man.
We'll have a look, yeah.
Moose Lone too is another
Yeah,
one.
shout out Moose.
Yeah.
So you got a couple of guys out there.
Yeah,
doing
Kobe
their thing.
D is fucking really good, man. I want to hear some more music from him. He reminds me of Nas. Man.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Indigenous rapper from Maroubra.
I know. You know what I noticed too is that
Yeah.
I've noticed the skill level of the actual verses, like the line, the words they're using. Like 1 and 4 for an example, and then you've got section 6. The actual words, if you actually drop the forget the beat and just hear the words, it's pretty on point. Like it's very smart in its own way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would say it's intelligent because besides the dipping, I think people get if you past the dipping part, past the shakes and shivs, if you listen to what they're actually saying, the word for word, they're quite creative, man. I don't know who's helping you, but
the intricacy.
is that what it's called?
Yeah, like the trickiness
Oh,
of their
right.
flows, man.
Yeah.
People may
It's
look,
fucking well played, bro.
Yeah,
well played.
I think people look from the outside, people that don't understand like the culture of the art form.
Yeah.
They just think it's a bunch of, you know,
Guys rapping.
bravado, blah blah blah. But yeah, they are clever.
They're clever,
they
man.
are innovative,
Clever.
man. They are innovative. There is a serious level of talent, especially out here, like out west, man.
Yeah.
There's something in the water. I can't believe, like, it's like East London, and it's like Bow was back in the day. In this certain pocket,
Yeah.
like there was talent everywhere.
Yeah.
But there was this fucking one area.
Would
where
you say-
every second person was sick, man?
There's no science behind this. It's more bro science. But would you say it's life experiences because you get that?
And that's a massive part of it.
But would you say that because
100%, man.
Look,
You're definitely a product.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So what you grew up with, like there was
Yeah.
no, when you're back against the wall and you only have to make one choice.
Yeah,
Would you say that's what makes you get what you get now?
fucking
Sure.
hell.
You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
when there's no option and you only got one,
Yeah.
that's all you have. You
Yeah.
know? And like we've been saying it from day one, like we would say that a lot of people, especially from like out west where we're from, like where I grew up from, is that a lot of sports players, like NRL players or rugby players,
Yeah.
a lot of them don't hit that peak. One, because of probably support wasn't there, whatever. But there was always talent.
Yeah.
It was always like that was just a given. Like it was like, yeah, you come from our joy, you play footy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a given. I feel like now they've got another option where you can go the rap. But I feel like, but having like the life experience they have, that's what sort of gives them that sort of edge over.
An angle.
Would you say when an
sets
angle?
you apart.
For
right?
sure.
Would you say that that's part of the reason
Without
why
a shadow
they've
of
got
a
that
doubt.
talent? Yeah.
Without a doubt, especially in that kind of music, because it's all about authenticity.
For sure, like you can't just get someone from North Sydney rapping about what they're rapping about.
Rapping about like
that's
Iron Man
the-
shoes and golf
for
club
sure.
stores.
There's a reason why there's no.
That's as cool as you guys went to like.
I did, bro. I did.
No, yeah.
I didn't. Bro.
Well, what's the lifestyle where you guys? So Maroubra, you guys are from Maroubra.
Yeah,
What's the lot? Would you? Because you've been out west for a couple of times.
Yeah, man.
What's the difference
I've been
between
coming
us?
out here for years. I used to play football in St Clair.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Every weekend for years and years and years.
So what's the difference culture wise?
Most of my family's out here, like my cousins and that, mostly Southwest. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
What would you say different? You never come out here, mate.
No.
Alex, you know me, I can tell.
I'm thinking.
No, I heard a minute for 2 minutes.
You know what's different?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what's different when you come out here, man? It's fucking heaps of space.
Yes, man, bro.
That's what I can't get my head around. Like, there's just so much room, bro, and the
Mm.
roads are wide, and
Yeah, but it's still traffic, man.
there's still traffic, fucking road.
You still can't move.
Yeah.
Like, coming around, trying to get here around about 5 between
Yeah,
4 in the afternoon and 5 in the, you take 2
That's
hours.
the one thing that's the same.
How many tolls I went through on the way here?
Oh, I swear, spilling.
About 10. Like, what's the go with that?
You should, yeah, just to get out
All
here.
that's out here, like, fuck.
That's why no one comes out here because it costs too much.
$1,000 in a fucking ticket.
Yeah.
There's two.
Yeah.
There's two kind of things, man. Or there's the one big thing is like there's two things that stick out. Number one is the like in terms of like cultural differences, not so much cultural difference, but the makeup of the areas is like I lived most of my life in Maroubra, spent a lot of time, lived in Mascot for the last couple of years, lived in Botany for years as well, most of my
So it's all the same.
in a city, all these places are 5-10 minutes away.
Expensive? Like, I never.
Used to be cheap as chips.
Yeah.
In the space of 20 years, unbelievable.
Jump.
Yeah, so if you
It's
didn't
all
know
organic
that,
people.
if you
It's
didn't
all
know,
organic cafes.
I'm out of there.
if
I'm
you,
rich,
that's
I
the thing. Like that's why I'm not a
Right.
Uber man. Can't afford it.
Yeah.
Can't afford it.
Also, those people wearing Vans and flannel
Yeah,
shirts and those
yeah.
straight leg jeans.
Like that for the reality is that is kind of what happened, man.
Yeah.
Ruby used to be dirt cheap. It was a kind of rough working class area. Somewhere like Mascot and Botany was like a post-industrial
Yeah.
kind of hard-nosed type area as well.
Yeah.
People never really had any money, but
20 years.
yeah, geographic proximity to the city is what it was inevitable that them prices were gonna like.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What's the same as here? How's it here $1 million?
Yeah.
But what about like the people and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what do you reckon? The vibes.
There's two.
I don't really have been out here much.
Yeah.
So I can't have much experience. But the vibe, in Maroubra and stuff.
Yeah,
Like we got
it's
beach,
nice.
we have the city, we have pubs and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a little party theme as well. It's
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, we never had that. Yeah.
It's just sort
There's
of.
more shit to do.
I don't even know what the fuck you do. out
Yeah.
here. You ride motorbikes or what? Like,
Right, actually, I think about getting one.
Yeah.
Dirt bike.
Yeah.
Talking about motorbikes,
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
it.
There's similarities, but there's some key differences, man. Like
Yeah.
the density.
Oh, definitely.
Like it's just so fucking spread out here, and there's
Yeah.
room. Where we come from, man. Everyone comes on top of each other.
Yeah.
Man, even
It's
especially
old too, like you were saying on the way here, like
It's old.
Surrey Hills and stuff like that. It's been around for a long time, man.
But
Like, these suburbs.
Our local pub's 200 years old, and
Yeah,
then you
but-
come out here and it's like, oh, it's
10
not
years.
everywhere out
brand
here.
new, yeah.
Yeah, brand new.
Just
yeah.
Well, I feel like
okay.
I feel like it's more of a lifestyle difference. If that makes sense. I think that makes a big difference.
We can surf and we can go.
Yeah. Like I see guys like I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like there's a lot of morning people here, but if
Yeah.
you wake up early in the morning, you go to work. Over there, you can surf early in the morning. You go for
Yeah.
runs. The
Yeah.
view's good. Like we're
Yeah.
working at Coogee when I met you.
Yeah.
That job site, like there was the car park. That car park, and I was just like, damn, man, like everyone's out. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking about 5 o'clock in the morning. Guys are walking their dogs. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, you guys are key. No one does that here.
That's it,
You're
yeah.
not, it's not known. It's not
Yeah,
known.
yeah.
I guess because you have the seawater, you have a bit of news, and
Yeah.
the lifestyle is different.
And when it comes to like the hood, right? What's different is
House prices.
and the idea that where you can have like big pocket housing commission, halfway houses where people are fresh out of Long Bay or whatever, you know, all piled on top of each other. No one's got any money. But then outside of that, those few blocks, that little pocket, like you go 200 meters up the road, man, and there's this $2.5 million mansion.
I've seen them, mate.
Yeah, like you are, even if you're like flat broke in Hauser, like you're not that far away from the money geographically.
Yeah.
It's just around the corner.
Do you get a sense of different? What's that word? Different? No, that's not even the word. But is there a difference with those people and plus, well, not people, like that crowd having a $2 million house, like $20 million house across the road from you, then you've got the house, a bit like South Africa, or get the same.
I don't know anyone in the $2.5 million house.
Oh,
who they are. I see the houses.
Yeah, but do you is there like do you guys go to the same school as those kids? Did you grow up with that? Still, like because it's like next 40s.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So you sort of still mix with that crowd, and then you sort of get a taste to an extent.
Yeah, I don't really mix with them because I don't know. I went to Waverley, so it was a private school.
That's a private school.
Yeah, definitely.
Bondi, is it Bondi?
Yeah, Bondi.
Bondi. Yeah, Waverley. Yeah. Heard of them.
Mate, good school, but there's a lot of rich kids there too.
Yeah,
so
one's rocking up Range Rovers.
Definitely.
That's standard.
These kids
Over here, you get your bus, train,
Me too, bro.
and you walk from the station.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like,
Did you ever like?
Me, I had none of that. But
Yeah. But you still, because you're around it, does that sort of influence you or wanting more, or just knowing?
No, not really.
Not really?
I didn't want to be that sort of person. Like, they're a different breed, man. Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they get given all this sort of stuff. They're just handed life in a way. Like, you gotta have money to make money, and that's they're just making money because they've got money, and like it's hard for people.
Do you see them after school struggling in like getting jobs or going to uni, or do you see those guys?
There's still like where we come from, man.
So you guys are different. Like, so you guys, I wouldn't say outcast, but would you say there's two different? There's two different. Oh, okay.
There's three, man.
There's three.
There's just levels, right? You've got people with plenty of money. You got people with nothing, and then you got everyone in between. The difference, I reckon, in
and you have that all in one area.
Yeah.
Where here it's different. You either got middle class or no class, like bottom class. Where there's no extreme. Like, where you sort of have, so...
Like Bob Carr used to live in Maroubra, the guy that was the premier. He lived 500 metres away from, Lexo, like housing commission, not really... It's a lovely place.
Went to school with my old man, Matchville High School.
Man, he's probably got a couple of invested properties down there, so... Shout out Bob
Carr. So the dynamic is different in that sense.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of people get up to shit, man.
Yeah.
Because the port is there, like the seaport.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff coming in that way, and the airport too. Because of those two things, like you see the same thing in Marseille, in France, or Naples, like any kind of port city where things you always get that element of.
Well, back in the days in the 80s, the ports were running the country.
Man.
If people know, they know.
And there's always been.
If you know, you know.
It is what it is, and that element all.
Unions used to run the day back in the day. I guess Mascot was part of that. You talk about the working class, so that was part of that scene. Yeah.
Everybody worked on the dock, on the dock.
Dockers and painters, that's what they used to call them. Shout out to Chopper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Victorian stuff, man.
So you got any up and coming artists you work with now, or like anyone?
Taking it one thing at a time. You know what I'm looking for?
What are you looking for?
Investment.
What do you mean by investment?
Yeah, man. I would like to scale up. This was a bit of a learning experience for me in the sense that I realised that I need to put out a lot more stuff. And basically, before I did the AVTV thing, I was a vinyl dude. I ran a record label for 7 years. That was.
Oh, we didn't get into that.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. What's the time? Sorry. What's the time?
Just reaching now, but continue.
No, we got going. This might go for 2 hours, guys.
I ran a vinyl label for 7 years. I love collecting records. I had a fascination with reggae from a young age.
I love reggae.
Yeah, man. And that's like vinyl wax is such a big part of kind of Jamaican reggae, like sound system culture. And I used to do that for ages. I wasn't a video dude. And then I tried this AVTV thing. It was my first time shooting videos and that. I was purely a music record person. The video aspect was something new.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more expensive than I thought. yeah, like shit. If I had my time again, I'll probably structure things a bit differently. I realise now, in order to keep up a steady output with a high production quality, you need a lot more money than what I originally kind of budgeted for.
Yeah.
So I would love a sponsor.
Shout out anyone,
Yeah,
sponsor,
100%.
AVTV,
Some kind of
Sony
brand.
Music.
Partner up. Well, we can give you good exposure, like we do.
I wonder if Rode would do something, because Rode's an Australian audio
yeah,
brand, and
yeah.
they're very well known around the world. So
Well, they're the ones who have
Their quality.
they produce a lot of these equipments, don't they?
Their quality, man. A headphone company or microphone company or something would be perfect, man.
Yeah.
Just somebody to help bankroll it. Like, we give them good exposure.
Yeah.
We do numbers.
Yeah.
We got a couple million views, man, and
Yeah.
we're just warming up. There's so much more
Damn.
to yeah. You know.
It's a good opportunity, especially when you're young.
Yeah, so
grow
if
with
you
it.
hit me up, man.
Yeah,
We'll,
hit it.
we'll give you some exposure.
Holler at your boy.
Yeah. We give you a good deal, man. We give you a good deal.
So that's right now. So you're looking
Yeah,
for basically sponsors,
yeah.
just to sort of to get to that next level. That's
it.
that's
and
funding.
steady up the output. Like, I don't do this for money.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I've got a steady 9 to 5 that allows me to do this on the side.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be at this stage looking to make any money off it. I would just like to break even and you know, anything that I do make, I will reinvest straight
100%,
to
yeah.
people, man, because we've got a long way to go here in terms of like Sydney being able to really kind of be established
Yeah.
on more than a national scale. Like we might as well kind of aim for as high as possible and try and show our city to the world.
Yeah.
But to do that, man, I think that my output
Yeah.
has got to be a lot more, and I need 100 people trying to do the same thing. I need competition, man, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you got any competition now? You got anyone you want to shout out for a competition? Or?
There's nothing now.
Nothing. Hey. Well, then be the number one then.
Statement, eh?
There are platforms that exist that I wouldn't consider like direct competition. You know.
Yeah.
There's people that came before me that kind of would have been competition that are going on a different angle, Hustle Hard TV and stuff, that things that came earlier. But now, like, no one's doing anything polished and authentic at the same time. It's one or the other. It's either raw and uncut, or it's like watered down. You see Red Bull trying to do shit.
Yeah.
You see fucking what's the other one? Oh, there's some shit.
Yeah. So
There's some shit ones around, bro. I would like a real one.
Yeah.
People doing real hood shit on a with good production, good quality. Just to kind of fire me up a bit. I think the best thing for me would be to have like some direct competition. Man.
yeah.
There's room here for everybody to do well. You
Yeah.
know, and competition is very healthy.
Yeah, so when you're saying watered down, there's either raw or then there's watered down.
Yeah.
What sort of made things watered down? The high end Sony music people, like what
corporate
caused
corporate interest.
corporate interest?
Corporate
Okay.
interest.
But why do they water it down for if it's making
You
sense?
tell me, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
The people want the real shit.
Fucking softies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're screaming at real and then they're giving us watered
Yeah,
down
the
shit.
people
Yeah.
want the people want the real shit.
Well,
The numbers illustrate that. That not necessarily I'm doing, but people are doing on their own. People want the real, authentic, unfiltered stuff.
That's why podcasters I think are shooting up compared to radio stations. It's a big threat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like you said, 10, 20 years. I think that and then look at the radio stations now. What they do is that they put in the podcast. Yeah, because like what happens is that, like, imagine hearing someone talking shit about, like, you know, they're not really, like, you know, good at that subject, but they're just talking it because it's got to be they've got to kill time and stuff.
Yeah,
When you have podcasts, like you have people talking about their actual lane, and if you want to listen to it, it's up to you whether you listen to it or not.
Yeah.
Where radio, if you're going to work and you listen to radio, it's like you sort of, it's like this channel and the next channel, but
Right.
if you don't relate to it, oh well, you still listen to it. And then they have all these bullshit ads and shit.
Background noise.
Yeah. Because like there's people coming back from work, right? Like you know that's why people get stuck in traffic. They want to listen to something. Half the time they really want to listen to music, but then there's this radio show that there's going on and on about random stuff that you just want to go nah.
Like talk about how to pick up girls, and I just bought a cat on the weekend. But no one cares.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like no. I'm not gonna shout them out, but like I'm just like no one cares.
Oh, it's trash, man. It's trash.
I honestly think that radio's like we're talking about. You know how we're talking about like music having a push to the rawness and the realness. I think podcasts. Well, look at Joe Rogan. Shout out Joe Rogan.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like it just shows it's a threat to radio. But then the sad part is that because the thing about podcasts is that you can literally say whatever you want. There's no, this doesn't mean Jeremy. That's all it is. But then you've got if you've got a radio station, you've got an executive, then you've got a director, then you've got the marketing side, then you've got, oh, well, you can't say that. If you say that.
Sponsors that you need to please.
Yeah, it's just like there's a list goes on where if it's just a podcast, and the people who usually sponsor podcasts, they have that expectation. It's got to be raw, it's got to be real. They've got no input. They can't just come in and go, look, we'll sponsor you. You've already got 1 million viewers, and they're like, we want to get involved. Well, if part of getting involved is that we're not listening to you.
Yeah.
You got no say. You're just funding or whatever.
It's definitely the future, man.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like. And that's what I feel like. That is the future.
Have you ever seen Drink Champs? Have you heard of this? Drink Champs?
Drink Champs. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Hit it up. Man.
Yeah.
So there's a guy used to be in a group back in the day, CNN, Capone Noriega, like some of the best, two of my favorite like fucking New York rappers ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must listen to a lot of old school
New York
days.
City, right?
I don't even know these
Yeah,
names.
man. CNN. They were fucking big. Anyway, the guy Noriega, Nori, he had a bit of a solo career. He used to do a lot of stuff for Pharrell.
Okay, yeah, I know
the
Freddie.
Neptunes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started this podcast where he's just an old rapper from back in the day, right? And him and the guy that used to DJ for him, they started this thing where they bring all these old school like 90s legends, man, through to the studio. And they just get them heaps drunk, man, heaps drunk, and they're just telling stories from back in the day. And you've got, like 50 Cent, Puff Daddy, Snoop Dogg, fucking everyone. Fat Joe, everybody, Master P, like every legend from back in the day.
Yeah.
Because they have a few drinks, man, and they start, telling stories that you never heard anywhere else. Man.
But that's what I'm saying. With podcasters give you that opportunity.
Yes.
But when you go to radio stations, you've got a 5-minute segment. We've got to squeeze your whole life story in 5 minutes, and you get nothing.
Yeah.
People can't relate to it. It's
you
like,
got to promo the album.
Yeah.
And make sure,
exactly. And then
people want it raw and unfiltered now, and they want. I think the desire for authenticity has got to. Instead of this kind of generic mass appeal shit that was forced out by like these mainstream institutions. Now you get everything splintered into these tiny niches. And people can find exactly what like suits them. Well, we say that like people want raw, but then you got Instagram where people are using a lot of filters. You know what I mean? It's a bit different. It depends what we're looking at. So if you want information, it seems to be like we want it raw. When we want images and pictures, we sort of want it filtered. So it depends what I guess that I guess that fakeness or whatever you want to call it, filters, will always play its role because that's
shout out Instagram.
That's something that kind of worries me about the youth, eh?
What fakeness?
Feed it well,
Filters,
don't look at Instagram and think it's reality. That's nobody's reality. That's everybody's kind of alternate aspirational truth a lot of the time. Yeah, like
it's a huge front, eh?
It's an illusion, man.
You must have a lot of that down in your ways. Like
These are all
beaches. You are surfing and you see guys on the beach with their phones.
No, it's like
more like the edits and all that. Like,
it's a bit embarrassing. It's just me.
Bro,
I can't pose. In general.
You're throwing off.
It's another hub for attention, basically.
Yeah, but
like it's one of those things that people can't live without. Like in the background, unconsciously, we need attention. There's something.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And the other thing
but it's funny you say that, but as I'm getting older, I don't want that. It's more like I'm trying to get out of that. Like it's more like if you look at my Instagram, there's not really much on it. It's mainly podcasts and stuff like that. But it's more like you said earlier, like if we want to go down to shop, you want to be part. Look, I guess the attention, you're right, because you want to be part of the scene, but you also don't want to be known for it. You know what I mean? So say like if you're a rapper, I'd rather be the person behind the scenes who's sort of directing it, but no one knows who you are.
Freedom.
But so when you see the rappers, they're like, this guy, then hey, how's this guy partnered? Like if you take who's this guy? That's the guy I personally rather be.
Me too, man.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be the mainstream. No way. But when I was younger, I sort of probably wanted to. But
there are some people out there that are made for the spotlight. There's some people that
like Kim Kardashian.
I don't know. Like some people that.
Shout out Alex, mate. What's the girl?
Shout out Huffy, bro. You wanna drop a verse?
Is that still in? Is that still in?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm just worried about him stepping on it.
Oh shit.
No. I am.
It's the other thing with that stuff is you only see the good side. So people are looking at Instagram thinking, oh, everyone's out here, living this, you know, awesome life, it does not show the trials and tribulations and reality. Most people are going through shit.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't say that on social media, you know, that's why you got to be careful and not think that, you know, all these people are out here living
lavishly.
Yeah, because it's not what they seem, and that car's probably a fucking rental. And
but I guess people, I don't know, people probably like that in a way because they get a lot of likes.
Yeah.
So people, you know, as much as we know, we obviously talk to a lot of people. 90% of them say the same thing, like, you know, it's a fake life, but they're still getting likes, they're still getting attention, and I guess if we feed that, the more we feed into that, it's the more they've got to keep doing it, thinking it's a normal thing.
As long as you stay aware that it is not like an actual reality. I think you got to be careful around the other kind of thing that I think about a lot with AVTV is the message that we put across. I have this I don't know what you call it. I wonder about having a certain responsibility about making sure that you know, we don't send the wrong message to the youth and that.
So what is your message?
It's not so much what my message is, rather than what my message is not.
Like perceived as like you.
Yeah,
what you're showing, not what they think. Like.
We are showing we try to put a mirror up to society and say this is what it is.
Yeah.
We're not saying when it comes to, you know, the heavy drill stuff and the violent music.
Yeah, that's just a story. You're just promoting the story. You're not promoting that, saying it's like, this is what you should be doing.
This is given an opportunity for artistic expression and giving the boys a platform to kind of let that out. Yeah. And that's a good message. It's better to be spitting that into a microphone than to be actually doing it out here on the street, right? But it's a bit of a delicate thing because there might be kids out there that may not have grown up. There's kids out there that have grown up with the odds stacked against them. Yeah. They've grown up in a position where it'll be very difficult for them to escape and find an alternate reality that is free of violence and what have you. Right? Some people are just born into that shit, right? And that's the reality of their life, and music may be a way
out.
Yeah, one of the few opportunities that they have to build something and get away from that. Yeah. Right? But there are other kids out there that are lucky enough to have grown up away from that. Yeah. And it's like, if you've grown up away from that, fucking stay away from that.
Yeah, and that's why
don't let the music draw you in. Like if you are not from it, don't go seeking it out.
Yeah, and that's what I say to a lot of other people is that when this is a whole thing. This is another personal thing I probably want to explain is that that's what we were talking about earlier. I don't like comparing struggle because struggle is different for every other person. And one thing I noticed that too with all this music coming out and stuff like that, I feel like people feel like, it's, you know, I'm not about that, but I feel like I have to be about it just a bit to relatable. Guys, if you guys have parents, you have parents at home, you have food in the fridge, and you guys living a good life, there's nothing wrong with that.
Be thankful.
Because coming from a person who sort of, I want to say struggled, but didn't have as much as certain other people, trust me, living a normal life there's nothing wrong with that. And you don't have to, I mean, admire the music, like it. It's not saying don't, you know, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. But those guys are making that music for experiences where you probably wouldn't want to go for it. And then that's the kind of message they're saying that we're using our struggle for a talent and we're trying to get away from it. I don't think they're trying to use that to suck people in. They're trying to get people away from it. And that's what the whole. I like that what you just said, and that's probably a good message to send out there because
100%.
If my kids don't grow up with no struggle, that's a good thing. But at the same time, struggle does make you who you are.
Yes.
But at the same time, they've got to live a better life than me. And that's what you sort of aim for in life. Because if they grow up the way I grew up, I feel like I wouldn't be doing it as a parent my job. So there's nothing wrong living that normal life, whatever you call normal. But for sure, man. So that's a good signal or a good message, I think, because I'll stand by that. That's definitely perfect.
I'm never gonna come on there and tell the boys like, don't say this, don't say that.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to tell their truth.
Yeah.
But if that violence, if that struggle or whatever, if that's not who you are, like.
Don't be about it.
Don't force it, because at the end of the day, man, someone will test you out here. If you're out there rapping that stuff, it's gonna catch up.
Well, you get a certain point in life, and then people catch you out. So you know what I mean. If you're not about that,
people will test you. Man.
Yeah, coming from growing up in a certain area, I don't want to be part of it. Like, you know, even though I was mixed in it, like, I'm trying to get as far away as I can. You know what I mean? So
me too, man.
So people, people who are actually like who's grown up with that. If you ask them if they had a choice, a lot of them, I'll probably put it out there. I'm talking about probably all of them will pick the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just I'm telling you that's because you don't want that. Not for anyone.
100%, man.
But being grateful too is a good thing too, and going through struggle, I guess, builds you.
Definitely, man.
Definitely.
And you know, that shit can help. One thing about me in man, I think it helps me in my 9 to 5, which is a kind of funny thing.
So what do you do for 9 to 5 then? We haven't talked about that.
We
got that, right? We got.
Can I just tell you something? Everything that's being talked about right now, I just love everything I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I used to run a big British music magazine, and I was working there for ages, and I went back to uni. I did an arts degree in media, culture, and technology.
Okay.
First person in my family to go to uni, and I just
congratulations.
Yeah, structured it all around music and multimedia and how we consume today and technology and. Yeah, it was enjoyable, but yeah, man, I finished uni and I was at this magazine. I fucking quit because I was working these long ass hours, bro. It was good fun, man, interviewing rappers and shit. But it was no money. I was busting my ass and I was still broke. And I was like, man, I got to do something more steady. So I stepped away from music totally, and I got a job project managing software developers at a big bank on a big app that everybody knows.
What's the app?
You know, I don't.
Can you say it or you're not allowed?
I can't name my employer here, but shout out to them.
Yeah.
Man.
You're not allowed to, or you just don't want to?
I don't know if all of them would understand.
Okay, fair enough.
Some of them do. People know what I do at work, and they're quite encouraging.
Yeah.
But I don't want to cross those wires.
Yeah.
But, I'm thankful. I got really lucky, man. I got
It's a podcast, right? We're talking about watering down.
You never know. Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them.
It's a household name.
Yeah, okay, household name, right?
I'm lucky to be there, and it gives me the opportunity to do this stuff on the side, right?
Yeah.
But fuck, man, in that place, you see a lot of people that have come from a sheltered type of environment, man.
Yeah.
People who come from generational wealth and don't really know.
Can't relate.
Yeah, I struggle to relate to them.
Nah, don't reckon that.
Do you know listen to music while you listen to it?
Pardon? Yeah, no, not really.
That's weird.
Yeah, they don't know, and you know what the funny thing is? They feel like people are putting it on.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, they don't know how it really gets like that.
No.
I think,
look.
But this is the thing, right? Just to get back to that point, man, fucking hell. These people have never fucking really struggled a day in their life, right? So,
I've never met someone like that.
When the heat is on, I hadn't really until I kind of got into this place. And not everybody is like that, but there are plenty of those people there. And you see the pressure gets to them. They crumble because
they're used to everything coming to them.
Yeah.
Like mummy and daddy will give me this.
Bro, I don't break a sweat because it pales in significance to what I've had to deal with in the past.
Yeah, but see, okay, so I have a thing about that theory. Yeah. So we've got people who don't struggle and that. Yeah. But can you blame them?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I'm not hating on that.
It's the luck of the draw.
Yes.
It's the luck
I don't blame them. You know, I don't have no hate for it. To be honest,
absolutely not.
I kept telling I say to a certain people, I go, imagine that. I understand their version too, because if you grew up with a certain environment and that's just the way you are, and then you didn't really struggle, I don't blame because you were born into it. But I can see their point of view too. It's not looking down on us, but when they look at us and it's I have to explain myself to you. I don't do that. That's developed. That's they weren't born with it, but it's developed. So trying to get them to take a backward step, they've never done that. So having an understanding of where they're coming from, I think sort of helps, because I can see it. Say as I'm getting older today, my understanding is actually growing better.
Yeah.
I want to say it's where it should be, but it's definitely gone better. Yeah. But even as me getting older, my patience is definitely getting tested. It's shorter because I don't got no time for bullshit.
Yeah.
And to them, like you just said, to them they'll probably think, man, this guy's full of shit. What do you want? You know, it's just look, I got no time. What do you you got 2 minutes with me? You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. So they grew up with that. So one, I don't blame them, but
Yeah.
I sort of understand that, you know.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah,
the
true.
sad part is that they miss opportunities by not understanding too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
can sort of miss an opportunity by being that
100%.
person. So
Yeah. I'm just thankful that I can use the shit things I went through
Yeah.
in the past. Nowadays, it's more of a source of strength. Like,
yeah, 100%.
if things are going to shit at work,
Yeah.
I just you never gets to that much because
Because
it's
there's other
nothing
people,
in
yeah.
the big scheme of things compared to things I had to do as a little kid. Man, it's
Yeah.
way more hectic than some fucking bullshit corporate problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not life and death.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, you, Alex, any bullshit at work? I see you at work.
Just with the scaffolders.
You see the scaffolders not putting their boards in.
That's it.
Oh, right. Having all the carpenters try to do scaffolding. Yeah.
Well, mate, I'm the best. Coastal scaffolder, brother.
Well, you know how I met this guy? So he was on top there. We had to strip one side. I'm like, well, because usually, like, we don't work. We usually when we get there, it's like you strip it or you build it. No one's there because it's sort of a safety thing. You don't want to drop things on. And when I saw this guy up there, I go, how long you gonna be, brother? And he goes, fine. I go, bro, because I'm yelling at my employees. I'm telling him, bro, hurry up,
They
bro.
pulled
Get-
the scaffold from under my feet.
Yeah, I'm going, I heard the F up, bro, what are we doing here? And then he goes, nah, the carpenters are working. I walked, I see Alex on the side just talking, casually painting. Oh, sorry, mate, I'm just going to be here in 5 minutes. 30 minutes later, they could have signed all been done. And just started, like, painting away. I'm like, oh, this guy.
Expert at all. Fuck all.
Nah, don't be like that, boys.
No, but yeah, so it's good that I guess the struggle, that's what I was saying, the struggle is good because it gives you an understanding.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm saying, those guys who don't have that, they
Yeah.
miss opportunities for
Yeah.
them to sort of grow in their way.
Yeah.
I can also understand why they don't have time too.
Yeah.
Well, another statistic shows that too, that the highest suicide rates for teens is millionaire children.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
The pressure.
The pressure, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you got everything given to you, 18 years old, go to this uni, you go into the best uni, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Then you're 21, 22, I go, here's $1 million, make that 10 mil.
Yeah.
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
That's different pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's.
Or like your
I love
mum.
that.
Your mum.
No,
Yeah.
you say that, but when you have to times that by 10, then you times that by another 100,
Yeah.
like the list it's. Mate,
Yeah, no.
mate, trying to make 10 mil out of 1 mil, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's big pressure. It's like,
Yeah,
fuck.
man. Like
And they will tell you, we're giving you the best schools, we're giving you life, like, you know, this is the sort of thing, this is life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's hard, man.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't like to compare struggle. That's what we're going back to.
Yeah.
I don't like to say that, oh, I'll grow up in the Western Sydney or Mount Druitt.
Yeah.
But then the guys at the eastern suburb, they've got their own struggle.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
different. And
It's
if people have an
different.
understanding about it, that's
Yeah.
why I don't really like comparing, you know, my show with this guy.
No.
I think
we
that,
spoke about this like that.
yeah,
Too, you know,
it's
like,
you don't want to do that. It's
definitely not.
And
Your
also-
life you live is
Yeah.
definitely different to the
Yeah.
life I live, but I'm
And,
not saying it was good.
Yeah.
and you know what the other thing
It's
is?
just say you have
man?
dirt bikes like
The
that.
other thing is, the other thing
Yeah, I don't have that. That's for sure.
No chicks around here.
Yeah, it is,
Nah,
man.
nothing.
you never ever know what somebody else has been through, man.
Exactly.
You
That's
never
right.
know.
Well, I read your story.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that a bit? Like when
A
you're,
little, yeah. Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, I can tell it.
So you were born a
This
bit.
is actually something I should talk about. If anytime I ever do any interview,
Yeah.
I'd be doing myself and people like me this service if I didn't touch on this topic.
Well, we'll
This
touch it
one-
on now.
This fires me up a bit, right? I'm going to go in on this one
Let's
because
go.
it's something really kind of close to my heart.
Are we going deep?
Yeah, give me 2 minutes. 3, maybe 5.
Maybe 5.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes on this one.
Alright, let's go.
So
Let's do it.
I was
You won't
born.
know.
I was born 14 weeks premature, 3.5 months, man. Yeah, I come out and I was like half cooked. Like I was transparent. You could see my veins on that. I was like at the point at which I
Got
was
pictures?
born. Yeah, somewhere. And there's one photo that I remember. It's my grandfather. My leg. He's got his pinky next to my leg, and it's the same size, man. His pinky, my leg was the size of his pinky. I was like that big, man. Fucking my skin was clear. I was like only like coming out of the oven way too early, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't looking good for me, eh? I had a stroke not long after I was born. I spent months and months in like a humidity crib after that, and then I think I had another stroke before I was like 2, right? And the prognosis for me as a kid was, would never walk, would never speak.
Yeah.
Basically kind of vegetable. But man, I was lucky. My grandfather. My family just didn't take no for an answer. My grandfather retired from his job a bit longer than he could afford to, and basically became a full-time carer. Used to line the hallway of his house with pillows every day. and all day, every day, walked me up and down the hallway and taught me to walk, man.
Yeah.
I'm like 4 or 5 years old, people are going off to school and like I'm still learning to walk, man.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he'd stand up one end of the hallway with like dark chocolate. Like he was training a puppy dog, man, and he would get me to walk like unassisted to him at the end and give me a chocolate as a reward, man.
Yeah.
Like taught me to walk. And, I have a condition called cerebral palsy, which I've had since birth. And, it's basically an umbrella term for various kind of brain injuries, and so it's a head injury, but the problem will manifest itself in your limbs, right?
Yep,
So for me, it's kind of like both of my legs, and then my arms only slightly, and it's like all four. For other people, it might be like one-sided, right? So it's like one side is totally fine, the other one might be heavily impacted. You might lose use of your hand or something like this. And we are 1 in 500 people in the population. There's not that many of us, and we don't get a lot of representation. Not just people with CP, but people with disability in general, man. You don't see us much. If you do see someone with a disability on the TV, they're usually there, like, not for what they've done or whatever, just like the token disability person. You might see some disability activist or campaigner on, some panel talk show.
Yeah.
You don't see, some guy there talking about economics or whatever and just being in a wheelchair. Like, we don't tend to be represented in much, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's something I wanted to kind of touch on today, right? Because we do exist, and we're not really kind of in the spotlight like that. I don't think, I think in Australia, man, we've got a long way to go in terms of representation of disability in general. It's not a lot of it. You don't get a lot of airtime there. You might see the Paralympics on TV once every 4 years. It'll flash up on the 6 o'clock news. And it's like, man, we are out here. 20% of the Australian population, 1 in 5 people has some kind of disability. A lot of them are not visible. It's not a lot of. It's not something that's spoken about too much, man. And why it's good for me to talk about it, man. There are. I'll tell you a bit of a story. So while really lucky, I played Paralympic soccer for Australia. I played in the Australian Paralympic football team in the World Championships in Amsterdam in 2009. At the same time,
Amsterdam.
You
didn't do anything.
Well,
Suspicious.
Not during the competition. I waited till the tournament was over. But man, I did. It was on during my HSC. I sat my fucking exams by myself in a room in this University of Nijmegen, just outside of Amsterdam. Because it was World Championship, adult level. They let me do my exams over there 1 hour.
Right.
Yeah, man. I don't know how I did alright, man. And I don't know how, because all I gave a fuck about was kicking the fucking ball.
Which every 18-year-old wants to do. That's what all 18-year-olds want to do.
I didn't give a shit, and I was lucky, man. But I started first in this Paralympic development program for kids from all across New South Wales. And I was in this New South Wales youth cerebral palsy soccer team, and there was this thing where you know what it was? I started that when I was 11 years old, and prior to that, I didn't really know what was on the cards for me in terms of what kind of limits are there on my life. You didn't know. Being 1 in 500 people, I didn't know anybody else with the condition that I had.
So there's no one to relate to or use that as a reference on what that could be if I just do so. There's no reference.
Precisely. And then I went to this soccer camp, right? And I seen the older boys who were late 20s, early 30s, the grown men of the team, the guys that were playing for Australia and that at the time. And bro, they just had normal life. Job, wife, kids, standard shit. And to see that as an 11 or 12-year-old kid was incredibly important. It made me understand, you can just go and do the same shit as everybody else.
So from that age you realise I can be normal too.
That, yes, and for some that might sound like a kind of funny thing to say, but when you grow up with some kind of like
Limits.
condition or limits.
Yeah.
You may not fit into that typical box.
Yeah.
To see people that go through the same kind of experience and come through the other side all right and with the same level of opportunity as everybody else is kind of life changing, man.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
Yeah, so if there's like, bro, the chances are someone's going to be watching this with one kind of condition or another. And it's like, man, do not fucking let it get in the way. Like, shit. In this day and age, like, we are incredibly lucky to be in a country like Australia, born in the time that we are born in. We have the technology and the resources in this country to overcome all physical barriers, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we can build a fucking ramp and you can get into anywhere from a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
The barriers that remain are all around perception. They are not visible barriers. They are invisible barriers. They are like systemic barriers, and they are far harder to break down.
Yeah.
We are a long way from being at the point where people with disability are kind of represented on the same level as everybody else, and not just being represented as someone with a disability. Like it's not a defining feature of their personality, right? It's just one thing. It's just one element, you know. And we are a long way from that point, man. But
I think we're not. If I want to touch on that, I don't think we're that far away from that, because Elon Musk is talking about. I don't know if you watched that Joe Rogan podcast, but they're talking about putting some motherboard in your brain.
Yes.
And he was saying it 5 years from now. 5 years from now, people who can't walk, apparently they can even walk better. So I'm thinking to myself, you put that robot stuff in my brain, and I'm like, you know, use some bolts, speed.
I hope so.
I still cyborg.
That's what it is.
Like, technologically, the possibilities are so huge, and it was something I would love to see. But you know what's fucking crazy, bro? The condition that I have now is like 95% curable. You know what the cure is?
What?
It's not a permanent cure, but the treatment is Botox.
Botox?
Yes.
Botox?
Yes.
I was about to say marijuana, but okay.
It's the cure sometimes.
That's temporary. But so is the Botox to an extent. So basically what they do is they will inject it into your muscles, man. And what you have like spasticity in cerebral palsy. It's the tightening of the muscles. You inject it with this stuff and it loosens you up. It lengthens your muscles, your tendons. You stretch out and you can move a lot better.
Yeah.
I took part in a clinical trial for that in like the year 2000 as a little kid through the University of New South Wales, and it was like life changing. My disability fucking went away.
Yeah.
Brain was gone.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, the Botox wore off and it came back.
Yeah.
If I had access to that treatment, like, my disability would be pretty much non-existent. I'd have to go through this procedure once every couple of years.
Yeah.
But I could get around like anybody else.
So
I cannot get that treatment, right? Because the fucking Botox is used to go in rich housewives' faces, man. You know, like, if I want to go and get that treatment, it's like 200 G. Bro, I don't have $200,000 to go get injections in my leg.
Is that clinically proven? Like, is that?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. It happened to me. I went through it. It was life changing.
So what? That's obviously a government thing, funding, because it's so expensive. Obviously, and there's no, like you were saying, there's no support base and no funding for it for that department. I guess that's where you don't have, because it will cost taxpayers money. I guess.
But it's
and
the pharmaceutical industry. The Botox itself isn't expensive.
But it's just, like you said, rich housewives.
Exactly.
It's not made for everyone.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. But it's like, man, just for the kids out there, you know, like, fuck. Have a crack, bro.
You've done well.
Have a crack, bro, you know, because like, if I can do it, anyone can fucking do it. And like, I just, for the young ones, man, it's not like a life sentence. It's the only limitations are the ones you put on yourself, man. Yeah, like, you can overcome everything, and people with disability, whatever that may be, there's a certain kind of toughness in a lot of people, a certain adaptability, right? We have to navigate through a world, just from a physical standpoint, a world that is not necessarily built for us. The way footpaths and stairs are structured, for the most like simplistic example. Like, we spend our entire life as a constant process of adaptation and trying to move through a world that wasn't really designed with people like us in mind, you know, and through that constant kind of battle that we have to go through every day, just getting from point A to point B, it develops a certain toughness and resilience that can really help you.
Just in life.
Yes.
So like you were saying about when people are stressing out at work, I'm like,
Yeah.
there are other more important things to worry about. This is really nothing.
Use
Like,
it to take the good from it.
so it's like a blessing in the sky, if that makes
It
sense.
can be.
Yeah,
You know,
it can
it's
be.
not all negative.
Yeah.
It's not all negative. Take from it what you can and use it for your advantage. Because
For sure. No, that's a good message, man. That's good.
I had to unnote on that one. I had to get that one out.
Yeah,
That
no, it's
stuff
good.
means a lot to me.
Yeah, because I read that part you had on that
Yeah.
notes I was talking about earlier, and then it was describing that. So we should actually start with that rather than go straight into AC. But I wanted to go deep.
Oh, it's
So
all good, man.
no, it is what it is. We did a full circle.
It's all good.
But yeah, for sure. So look, any plans for AVTV or anything soon? Anything to?
I don't want
look
to
at?
reveal anything.
You can't reveal. Okay, just reveal, man. No, maybe the first. Or we'll talk about after.
There's things in the works.
Yeah. Is there some up and comers you reckon you should look out for?
There's
Or?
things in the works. It'll all be revealed soon.
Yeah.
Man. To the kids out there, just keep fucking pushing, man. The more people are out there, artist wise.
Yeah.
The more a rising tide lifts all boats. Trying to have everybody do well. To the young ones, like it's only the beginning for them.
Yeah.
They're growing up in an era that's definitely different from the time in which we grew up.
Yeah. So how old are you now? 29.
Yeah. As of what? Yesterday. 2 days
Happy
ago.
birthday for that again. Happy birthday, bro.
It's all downhill from here, bro.
No, it's not, bro. No, you know what? You actually go forward, bro. Like you say, bro, get those obstacles out of the way.
That's it, man.
Downhill. Fuck yeah,
so,
it is.
Yeah.
Oh man, life expenses come up.
We'll
And,
go there, right?
That's it.
so you're it's what are we doing for the time, Jared?
Hour and a half.
Fuck. Hour and a half, bro. Doesn't even feel like it, man.
I can talk, bro.
Yeah, no, but these podcasts are not too long. That's why Joe Rogan does it freaking 3 hours segments. But mind you, Joe Rogan's following is different. So, well, we'll wrap it up now, but we'll run it back. We'll definitely run it back. Open podcast for both of you. Anytime, bro. If you guys got something coming up, even if you got something coming up, hit me up.
Yeah, man.
Come back on. We can talk about when you can release it, because there's heaps more to go.
Yeah. Basically, why I can't say nothing is because everything is still in the air.
Right, you
I
don't
don't have
to explain
anything in
yourself,
a
bro.
finished state.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
So much can change.
We'll talk about that 6 month thing.
Yeah, so much can change.
Especially with the people you're dealing with.
Exactly, bro. So
That's
it.
Bro, that's the story of my life.
That's it, bro. I don't want to put something out there and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes peeled. In time, there'll be more stuff.
No, but I want to touch on one thing, just one more thing. Section 60, I like them. I like what they're doing. So how many songs you got? Are you with them just for now? And then
that's the boys, man. Like shout out Nam, shout out Twister.
Man, shout out to those boys. They're doing
Yeah, they are talented, man, and I will always kind of help them from afar. I've never been like helping them in any kind of official capacity. It's just, man, if they need a bit of a hand, I'm happy to give to them. You know? They helped me a lot coming on that first day and helping me get started. Big reason why things went so well is because they come on and they really fucking delivered, man. So I'll be there to help them out for as long as they need me. But man, we've had a few studio sessions over the last couple of months, and they really got some stuff. They got some stuff on the way. What you've heard from them is really only the beginning. The song that they did, No Way, the one they put out with me, man, that was one, they'd written that before the AVTV freestyle, half of it anyway, the hook and the first verse, that was an older song, like the stuff that they're about to put out in the coming months, the things that are written really kind of recently, oh man, it's fucking good.
Is it drilling or is it more flow, like wavy? Like, because I personally, I think that they're... Firstly, I was expecting heavy. You know, the second one, I was like, bro, this is going to be deep. I was like excited. And it was more wavy. I get it, I understand. I like it, but...
Without giving too much away.
Yep.
Without giving too much away, there's definitely a bit of both on the way.
Yep.
I think a lot of people, when the No Way song coming out, were
shocked.
Yeah, because they were hoping for the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Those people are not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if the more wavy, like clubby stuff is more your thing, there'll be some good stuff coming that way too. They got one coming, man. I hope they wait till like summertime and release it. There's a big kind of summer anthem.
Yeah.
They got this real nice wavy tropical one on the way. See, there's so much stuff, I don't know what's going to see the light of day. But they got
Yeah.
a lot of quality material, and I
Yeah.
think the sky's the limit for those boys.
Yeah, man, sky is the limit. Are they like a branch off 1-4? Like that's what they're like affiliated or?
They're the blokes from next door. Like
Yeah,
they're the
They're doing
Siberians
good.
boys, and those two crews go back a long way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe.
Oh, I was gonna bring up that the HK and Rick one that I watched. But
Oh yeah, shout out
yeah,
to
they're the youngins of 1-4. Them
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Because I filmed their first music video. Did that.
Oh, with crew was he around?
Yeah, so
That's a good video, man. You filmed that.
yeah, it was that was a good night as well because
Yeah.
they played that track for me the first time. I never heard the
Yeah.
track. They were just like we're
I never heard it.
filming this video
I know who they are.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's sick.
I just played it.
Those two,
As
those
soon as I
two.
heard it, I'm like, oh shit, I love this song already.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
It's catchy. Those two have really good flows.
Have they got something coming soon? Like
They
you?
just dropped something a couple of weeks ago, which was the first thing that they put out since they'd done the one with me. It was really fucking cool, man. They should have come to me for a video. There's no video for it, bro.
Oh.
Fucking come to me, boys, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it
but
was-
honestly,
it
like.
was really good, but I would have loved a film clip to go with it.
Yeah, well, I heard your AVTV first from
Yeah.
Section 60, and that was fucking dope, bro. Like,
Yeah.
man, that was I was insane. Like, when I listened to it today. I was listening to it today on my way to work. Like, you know, Section 60.
That's
you know,
a classic.
like,
We made a classic that day.
that's a classic, bro. Straight up, like
Yeah.
that's got to go down as
Yeah.
like they started banging like straight off the bat.
It's
Like
done serious numbers, bro. That's like
for a crew who's just like you know at that time.
was the first time they'd ever been in a proper recording studio.
Oh,
The
bro,
first
crazy,
time.
they're good, man.
But it,
Crazy,
I just
crazy
gave
good.
them the resources. It was
Yeah.
down to them to deliver, bro.
And
And
they delivered.
Fuck,
Would you say I'll be listening to that probably 10 years from now? That's what I'm saying. That there's music.
Yeah.
There's music you can listen to and you can relate to, but then there's music where you can be 50 years old and you be still bopping your head
Yeah,
out. You know,
yeah.
and I honestly believe
That's
that's
one
one.
of
Of,
Timeless tracks. Like
Yeah.
there's-
yeah,
there's-
that's definitely one
that's
of
one
them.
of
man.
those ones,
Yeah.
man. They nailed it.
Yeah, I'll be
shout
like
out
60 years old and popping those
Shout
songs.
out.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. So, anyways, we'll wrap this up. But we'll be running it back. Anything, anytime you guys want to come on, feel free, hit me
Yeah.
up. You know the digits, and
It's
we'll go from
amazing.
there. But
yeah. Thank you for having us.
no,
Really
hey, shout out Alex for it too.
Yeah,
Bro,
turn it up,
bro,
yeah,
that was
100%.
hectic. And it was good notice because what was it, a week ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were talking and we met each other on the site, and then a week later, he was telling me who you're hooking up with, and then freaking a week later, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, boys.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no,
coming in, but
thanks for having
Alex, thank you.
Thank you very
Aidan,
much.
we'll catch up soon. We'll do it again too, but yeah, guys, we're good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
stuff.
bro. That was good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. But,
Fucking
bro,
piss.
you got a piss?
So
I'm
bad.
talking about into the fucking coffee.
Were you serious? That was just